And hello, hello, and welcome to Who Dares Was Mumbo Jumbo for this July the 14th, 13th, something around there, I think. So yeah, someone just tried to shoot Trump, so they didn't do a very good job of that. Almost potentially that could have resolved some issues, I feel, in the world. But hey, you know, violence is not the answer. So here we are. Anyway, this video is going to probably be a little bit truncated because for reasons, mainly the football. So the Sunday games is off because all the owners want to watch the fucking football. I don't want to watch the football. I don't understand football. It is a lost art to me. Sport generally is a mystery to me, if I'm honest with you. I understand some bits. I used to watch some of the big matches. But years and years of just utter disappointment and just no, I haven't got better things to do with my time. I'm sure everyone else will have a lovely time, but I need to find something else to do, which does mean that I'm not going to have a lot to talk about in regards to videos and stuff and games played because, well, that's not happening. However, what have we played, which will lead on to something else. Played, well, the one and only thing we played since I last spoke to you was Eclipse. I took Eclipse around on the Friday and we had a 5-player game of that, which Eclipse is a Euro space game, kind of very heavily Euro, leans very heavily into Euros. It's an economy game. It's a 4X-ish game. I finally picked it up because it was a game that a lot of people had a lot of nice things to say about. I love TI4. But the one thing off is that it is an epic game and it is an epic game length. Eclipse at least gives you some of that 4X vibes, but a much more abbreviated time frame, which will lead me on to something else we'll talk about in a minute, but we'll stick with this for the minute. So yeah, Eclipse, 5-player we played. I'd forgotten, actually, it took me a while to get up to speed because it's been a while since I played Eclipse, actually, and then, you get all that out. And it is a game easy to get to table because of all the trays and all that sort of stuff. However, I was just suddenly like, fuck, oh yeah, we can do this and this and this. So it was a bit of a slow start, but we got cracking straight away after that, which was nice. Now, the issue I've got with this is not Eclipse. It is my game group. Bob is special. Bob is almost a lock-in, and he's one of our Friday night regulars. We go to Bob's to play games. He's very competitive. Oh my God, and last night it was quite painful. He just got narky about everything. Number one, he got narky about the fact that he was called out on the fact that he was actually cheating with his ship designs because he'd made illegal builds. And then he got narky because Ben looked to check that he'd behaved himself, and he got real narky about that. And then he got a bit narky at me because he was then switching his ship designs around like at the beginning of a battle, and I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? And just generally being a bit of a fucking penis. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do with someone in the group? I mean, I think his big problem is he doesn't have much social interaction with anyone else. And he has regressed into this almost Neanderthal-like fucking Luddite. But it makes it painful. And it makes things like that painful. And like, how are your game groups? What do you do? I mean, in any normal game, if you was out in a games cafe or the expo or anyone else and that behaviours took place, it would not be accepted. He would be told to fuck off. And I'm on the point of going, I might need to take a breather from it because it's a bit much. I might need to speak to him about it, but I don't know what if that will penetrate. Bob and me have a history of of me winding him up because all this was kind of also centred around the fact that he'd cock blocked me on places on the board when I was trying to do stuff. I was essentially trying to grasp at points as I could. And every opportunity I had, this doofus took that opportunity. And I was like, for fuck's sake, Bob, stop it. And I was like, and then eventually I had no option. He cornered me to the point where my only option then was to launch an assault at him, which was kind of futile because he had upgraded his ships, although, I suspect there were some shenanigans there. I don't know. Anyway, so I did that, and then he attacked Robbie, and Robbie attacked him, and he just got generally narky about the fact that retaliation was taking place, which I don't understand. So yeah, that all happened, which kind of mars your enjoyment. I mean, I remember at the point when this was going on, I was like, is everyone having a nice time? Everyone enjoying games tonight? So I need to think a long, hard think about it. I may have to have a conversation with him about him being a dick. Because, games, we do want to be playing games. And as I'm not playing many at the moment, because everyone's watching football, then, it's a thing. It's a thing to put out there to contemplate. The history of Bob, I was stating that actually before I went on a detour. So this goes back over a decade now. And Bob is one could hold a grudge. Many moons ago, but it probably is over 10 years ago now, we used to have the same bunch of us, a few different faces have changed, but essentially Bob, me, Ben, Robbie, I think it was another guy, a different Rich in those nights, and a mixed bag and some others in. We used to play big games of diplomacy, and I think we had about 5 or 6 player games of these, which went on for hours, as you would know, of diplomacy. Now, diplomacy is a game that's renowned for causing problems, breakups in groups, and we are no different. Though I'm sure I've told this tale before, and I will skim over it. But essentially, we were playing a game of diplomacy, and it is a game that requires you to work hand in glove with everyone else around the table, and you write down your moves ahead of time. You kind of strategize, and you talk to if you're in allegiances with people, and you all kind of write down your moves, wherever it kind of moves, where it's going to go, and if it's going to support units, and if it's going to do stuff. Now, this game had been going on for about 5 or 6 hours, I feel, and me and Bob were in some form of alliance. We were in Central Europe, Russia area. We'd managed to take most of that, and he was launching assault on Europe, England and over that side of the map, with assistance from me supporting with the naval units. So that was all going on. I had, in my Machiavellian way, because I can't help myself, had been playing a long game and had been essentially encouraging Bob to do this with support from me, with the intent of he would launch an assault over to Europe, commit all his forces with my support, and at the right given moment, I would pull that support, strand him over in Europe, and take his country in like a coup. And this played out exactly as I planned. And he didn't see it coming, and I did. Cut the supply chains to him. I left him abandoned and his army cut off in Europe, which was decimated because he didn't have the support he expected was coming, leaving his home countries completely or mostly undefended, whereupon I marched in and took them. And he lost his shit. In fact, so much so that we've never played diplomacy again, ever. And he's held a grudge ever since for that. Now, I doubled down on that some years later in a game of Seafall that me, Bob, Ben and Justin, one of our buddies, was playing that. We were playing, I had 2 campaigns of Seafall running concurrently, which is horrifying to think of now. But this group, we were playing our version of it. There was one particular night, Seafall was a legacy game, pirates, sailing around, exploring things, wonderful idea, great concept, could have been amazing. Fell short. That's what I'll say on the matter at the moment. Disappointing. Shame. Anyway, he had spent the entire evening doing his Indiana Jones thing in a cave, in a cavern or something, and had recovered this ancient artifact. It had taken him all night to do it. And he had loaded it onto his ship to do something with it. And I had been lingering, and I saw an opportunity, and I basically attacked his ship, sunk it, and the artifact was lost to Davy Jones' locker. And he very nearly flipped the table that night. Very nearly. Absolutely lost his shit. So there is a history of somewhat of me potentially jabbing at Bob. However, you know what? It's holding grudges, isn't it? I'm known to be the Loki at the table. I'm the trickster. I'm the mischief. If I'm in a game, there is every possibility that I'm going to cause havoc. There's every possibility that I'm going to do what you don't expect me to do. There is every possibility I'm going to watch the world burn. Because that's me. Sometimes I just like to tweak at the mechanisms of a game. Sometimes I just want to play in that sandbox to see what happens if I pull this lever, if I push this button. And you can never... People will say, if there's a traitor game, I'm always going to be the traitor, even if I'm not. If there's a game where there's active betrayal available, the chances are I'm going to betray you at some point. I am typecast at this point as the board game bad guy. And that's that. And sometimes I have to play to my strengths. However, all of this aside, I was behaving myself last night in Eclipse. But maybe it's a history lesson. Maybe it's Bell was just harbouring those grudges. So yeah, that's what we played. I think I came joint third in that game. I think Ben won. I can't remember where Bob came. I think he was 2 points ahead of me. So I did better than I thought, mainly because I built a load of monoliths and stuff. Anyway, I took no photos of it, which I'm sorry. I'll pop some stock images up that I steal from Board Game Geek during this conversation. So there's all that. That all happened, which I did mention earlier about Eclipse and its opportunity to allow you to play a 4X game in a shorter time scale. So with that, obviously sharpens it down and put a massive big review out of Arcs. Arcs is a game I played at the Expo. Last video I mentioned that. I think I showed a little bit of footage of the game we played. I will have to put out that video at some point, I promise. I was a little bit fence city on it. I went and watched their video. And it was glowing, should we say. So I had some money for Father's Day. One of the boys giving me some money. I kept it. So long story short, I pre-ordered the base game of Arcs because I do like the idea of a 4X game playing in an evening. I haven't yet committed to the big expansion. There's the Blighted Reach campaign, which is a big campaign box that you add to the base game, which allows you to play these longer, more epic games. They're essentially these free game campaigns which you can play in one go in about 8 or 9 hours or more, or probably more by the sounds of it, or you play it over a series of free games or whatever. But so you can still get that TI4 epic-y all night long feel with this kind of not legacy-ish thing, that different things you do during that campaign will have effects during that free game campaign you play. Stuff you do will linger through those games, which is fascinating. I love the idea of it. It's taken a bit of stuff of what we did in Oath, and I love that style of stuff. So I imagine at some point, finances allowing, and once we get from the base game a few games of that I will probably dive onto that, because I love emerging narratives. I love emerging gameplay. I love stuff that is permanence in a game. So it's an interesting concept. I always loved it since the when Legacy came on the scene. I love that idea, the base idea behind Legacy of you can play a game and it remembers what you did. And that I'm always on board for, because we don't get our games. Every game, most of our games, as we know, we play it, we put it away. When we open it back up next time, it is the same game, which is lovely and all that. But just sometimes I do love that, oh yeah, we did that. Oh yeah, that's coming home to roost. Oh, fuck, we should never have done that. I like that kind of permanence thing. Anyway, as I said, I've pre-ordered it. I don't think it's due for a couple of months. But yes, let's see. I enjoyed the very brief abbreviated play we had it of the Expo. I mean, I wasn't well, as we know, but I had some fun with what we were doing, but I didn't really grasp the full mechanisms of what we were doing. It's a trick-taking game, as we know, blah, 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 blah. So whenever that arrives, then we'll look at that. And yes, I weakened. I did weaken, but we'll see. And then more importantly, I've pre-ordered it, because otherwise when it gets to retail, chances are it's going to be impossible to get. So that's my treat. So that's that. News-wise, other than that, there really is no game news that I have seen that's leapt out at me. I've covered last week that Gen Con is obviously the end of this month. In August, Gen Con is on, and Spiel follows the month after that, whereupon I think Arcs is released at Spiel. And that's kind of that for the news. There really is no other stuff that I've seen. Other than that, I've been watching Jaws, because, it's around July. I did watch it a week or so back, but I do love Jaws. And I don't mind 2. I will not tolerate the other 2 fucking abominations. But Jaws is just a perfect movie. It's my favourite movie. It's a fantastic movie. You've never seen Jaws. What is wrong with you? Go watch Jaws. Aside from that, I've been catching up with boys, because me and Owen Dawes have been watching it. But we haven't had much time to get down and actually do that. So I think we watched episode 5 now, a couple behind on that. Acolyte, I covered the other week, had improved. Last week's was a big flashback episode. As I said, everything I said from before stands. It is a weirdly built show. It is a bit disjointed. I think the early episodes don't really work and don't really do enough building of what they need to do. I like what it was going for and what it seems to have gone for. I just think something was lost in translation, and we'll see how it hits, if it manages to make landing on this one, because it's been a rocky road. I'm going to put aside all the obviously neckbeard fanboys screaming about there's girls in our Star Wars. That sits over there. just generally from a narrative, story-led thing, it's a bit all over the place. It doesn't really... It's delivering stuff that we said we haven't got, fine, later on, and it is messing around with your perceptions of what you expect. I think we're dealing with unreliable narrators in this. It's doing a lot of heady stuff, but somewhere in the mix, it feels like it lost its way, and when it could have felt like a bit of an Andor, a bit grown-up Star Wars, a bit this, it doesn't quite, is at the moment. It's kind of something lost in translation. It's Phil. But we'll see how it goes. It runs its full course and see. Some interesting cast, some great actors in there, some really great fight choreography. The last few episodes especially has been really good. So some of it is great, and then some of it is just objectively stupid and bad. So we'll see. What else? I have still been watching Banshee, but I haven't watched as much recently. And again, I rest my case that it's utterly fucking deranged and stupid for fun. And that's it. What's coming up? Well, I don't really know. I mean, we've just started Risk Legacy, so we're going to hopefully get some more games of that in, because that's actually quite a fun thing to do. We're probably at some point going to be returning to Frosthaven, because we haven't played that for a while, and I'm sure at some point soon that is going to become a thing. I have mixed feelings about that. I don't get me wrong. I love the concept of Frosthaven. I loved Gloomhaven. Something has gone wrong with Frosthaven for me. I don't know whether I think it is just the sheer amount of work involved in playing Frosthaven. It's kind of just is a pop of my joy balloon, because I'm doing all that legwork, and there's no other way around it. We've simplified it as best we can. Map books might be an opportunity, but they're expensive. I think the bookkeeping element, all the work around it, and it just generally, it's not very. I'm not feeling like. It's putting all that aside. I'm not enjoying the journey. The campaign is trundling on, but there's no really coherent narrative in that game for me personally at the moment. I don't know whether we've not opened the right stuff, so we're missing out on just everything about it. Kind of is falling a little bit flat. The legacy elements of it that I enjoyed in Gloomhaven and felt that I should enjoy in this, of the town building and all that sort of stuff, kind of is like nah. The stuff I know we still haven't encountered, and the scenarios, some of them are annoying rather than enjoyable, and I give it kudos for attempting to change what is going on in the game. So, you know, the base Gloomhaven game, 90% of the scenarios were essentially in and out, you know, just go in and fight and kill everything and then leave. That was pretty much it. Whereas this at least has attempted to do different interesting story driven things with the missions, but the problem is often in them it just makes them very long, tedious, and a lot of rules overhead to get through them, and ultimately not or overly satisfying. I don't know, it's weird. I really wish I could be enjoying it more. Maybe going back to it from a break might be what I need. I don't know. But yeah, Frosthaven, we've been playing over a year of that anyway. Well, I don't even know where we are at. It feels like we might be about a third into the game. I'm not sure, it's hard to gauge. But anyway, that is going on. That's depressing, isn't it? So there you go. That is all of that. That was a meander because I had really nothing else to say. How are you? I hope you're all right. I did say that at the start. I thought, anyway, that is me. Hopefully next week we'll play some games. If you're watching the football, good for you. I hope you have a lovely time. Yeah. Aside from that, there you go. That is me. That is this. That is the video. Play games. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Have a nice group of people around you. Enjoy that moment. Enjoy each other's company. Enjoy yourselves. Until next time, ta-ta. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.